Okay, I'm going to call us back into order.
Okay.
There's a bit of traffic on the freeways out there this morning. So our first order of business is item 5.1, recognition for Lance Azumi, immediate past president of the Board of Governors. Lance, will you please come up here? Move all this aside here. And yes, we have. Okay.
Wow, that's nice.
Yes. Well, I guess I need a microphone.
Wow.
Please. This is to thank Lance Azumi for his hard work while he was president of the Board of Governors. It's a beautiful crystal gavel. And Lance took over in a time of distress where we had lost our president because of not being reappointed. So he really kept us steady through some rough waters. He also helped us recruit 2 chancellors. He led the committee for our interim chancellor search and for the chancellor search for which gave us Jack Scott. So we appreciate your hard work. You ran great meetings, and your fashion sense is hard to match. So thank you very much.
Well, I'd like to say something, but I hate to stand next to Lance because I look so drab. But Lance did do a terrific job. I was always amazed at his diplomacy, the way he handled the meetings, the skill, listening to disparate viewpoints. Lance could handle that with a lot of aplomb. He was certainly, we praise him for his service, and we, of course, enjoy having him still as a member of the Board of Governors after serving as our president. So he exercised tremendous judgment because he was led the search for me. No, really, I have had such a wonderful relationship. Always enjoyed meeting with Lance prior to our board meetings and going over things together. Enjoyed his humor and his insights, and so he's certainly deserving of this token of our appreciation for the work that he did. One of the things that I want to say about the Board of Governors is this is a voluntary kind of thing. This is not something that they get paid for. This is something that they do because they are willing to serve the public. And so here's a real public servant in Lance Azumi.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you very much, both Debbie and Jack, so much for those very kind words. I want to, thank you for, recognizing me. I got my agenda a few days ago, and I started thumbing through it, and then I said, "Holy cow, what's this 5.1?" And so that was awfully nice of you and considerate and thoughtful of you to do that. I appreciate that very much. It was a great 2 years that I had the privilege of having your conference to lead the Board of Governors, and I have lots of people to thank for those 2 years, which I thought went very well. First of all, behind, like you said yesterday, Jack, behind every man there's a great woman, and my wife April is here today. So, thank you, April, for supporting me. And I'd like to also say, thank you so much to Debbie Malumet, who was vice president, in our administration.
Yes.
And I could always count on Debbie for great support and great advice, and we were a great team together. And I certainly am so glad that you're the president now, Debbie, and that you've done a terrific job. And we'll hopefully support you like you supported me. And I know that when we were doing all the chancellor searches, one of the things that Steve Bruckman told me was that one of the most important things that the Board of Governors does in its official duties is to select the leadership of the Chancellor's office. And I think that in our different chancellor searches, finished with Diane Woodruff, and now with our great Chancellor Jack Scott, that we've gotten the best leadership I think that we've had in our history, and so I'm very pleased that we have Jack Scott as our leader as chancellor, but we couldn't have done that without all of your help in the search. It was those search meetings I know were pretty long, and we had long conversations, and I thought that all the board members did a fantastic job giving their input, and so that we could make the right decision at the end of the day, and I think that we did that. Oh, come on in. And so I think that the other thing, so I want to thank all my colleagues on the Board of Governors who really helped support me during my presidency. I knew I could rely on each one of you to give your input and advice when I needed it, which was often. And so thank you so much, and for all your contributions during the meetings. And finally, let me just say thank you to the members of the community college family. When we did our searches, when we, on all the different issues that come before the Board of Governors, it's not just the board, it's not just the staff, it's also all of you out there who come and give us your advice and input. And I want to thank the members of the faculty. I saw Jane Patton out there, and of course Mark Wade Liu, who preceded her, the various other faculty groups, the classified employees, the Manuel Payan, who was a great member of our search committee, and the students. I don't see Reed out there, but we had Frank Fernandez, who was also a great member of our search committees. So all of you, contributed to this, the success of the past few years. So, I was very happy and pleased to be able to help lead the board, and I look forward to, also working with the present leadership to continue its successful course. And also, I don't want to forget all the members of the staff, the vice chancellors, the assistant vice chancellors, all the people who work for you, members of the chancellor's office who have done such a great job, supporting the Board of Governors and myself. So thanks so much.
Well, during the photo op, I would just like to register my enthusiastic aye vote for recognition of Lance Izumi. He has been the most encouraging leader that, go ahead and don't look at me, Lance.
Okay.
Look at me. No, throughout the whole process of being considered, I consider you a mentor as a Board of Governor, and I just really appreciate your wisdom and leadership and wonderful disposition. I heard it had been in the past a contentious board, and from day one that I've gotten here, this has been the most harmonious, really devoted public servant organization that I've been involved with. So, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I'd also like to say thank you to Lance, because you took the helm during a big storm and led us very carefully over the waves with a gentle heart, and yet with a forceful vision. And that's a wonderful dynamic combination. So thank you so very much. Personally, it's just been a thrill to work with you.
Thank you. I appreciate that, and it's been one of the greatest professional pleasures I've ever had to work with each and one of you as well. So, know that thank you for your kind thoughts, and my kind thoughts, are mutual. So thanks so much.
Thank you very much. I'm looking for Reed Melbourne. Is she in the crowd?
Can we switch the order? She's on her way. She's
Okay.
in her office.
Okay. We will do her next. So on to item 5.3, presentation of California Community Colleges Chief Services Administrators Association 2009-10 Student Leadership Award.
I'd like to invite Pam Walker, who's Vice President of Student Services at American River College, and Audrey Yamagata Noji, who's Vice President of Student Services at Mount San Antonio College, to come up to present these awards.
We were fortunate that two of us are in the audience today, one vice president from the north and one from the south. So we are happy to have both of our students come up, Christian Younger and
Marcus King from Allen Hancock.
Christian is from Lassen College. He is a human services major, a person who believes that teamwork is the best way to get things done. He shows that team concept in his work at Lassen, in his role as a student trustee, ASB treasurer, part of the collective of students implementing an ASB-sponsored book loan program, and active with others on writing the revision of the Lassen College ASB Constitution and bylaws. That, besides his participation in numerous college activities that Lassen officials indicate have been a force for positive change on campus for the benefit of all students. Chris has taken this team concept to a position of Region 1 Senator for our Student Senate and has also chaired the Student Senate Rules Committee. And he spearheaded the security operations for the statewide student-sponsored peaceful demonstration, March on March, involving over 8,000 students. And he became a very proactive voice for students during several lobby days, meeting with legislators and other representatives 6 times this year. And with all that, he maintains a 3.396 GPA. Christian Younger of Lassen College. We're offering these two wonderful young men a $1,000 scholarship from the Chief Student Services Officers, besides this wonderful plaque as well. Christian? I think Dr. Scott should be here with you.
I don't know where I'm supposed to be.
That's fine.
So we can get everybody between the flags.
And the flag, and the flag.
Tight.
Tight, yeah. Okay, thank you.
Where's your glass? Okay. Just want you to know I was paying attention.
Thank you.
Here you go. Thanks so much. Yeah.
Thanks. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So as you can tell, we've divided these award winners from the north and the south. So representing southern section of the state from Allen Hancock College, Marcus King. Marcus has held several ASB leadership roles at Allen Hancock, including vice president and president. He has also been active in several clubs on campus, which is a wide range, from the Poetry Club to the Black Student Union to revitalizing the Auto Body Club. His role on both regional and statewide levels includes serving as Secretary for Region 6, Regional Senator for the Student Senate, Student Senate Executive Board Communications Officer, as well as Senator at Large. An important notation about Marcus is that administrators at Allen Hancock call him a builder of bridges, as he has worked to identify student issues of importance and then find successful resolutions. His energy and enthusiasm for students to find their own voice has led others to take an interest in attending the General Assembly and becoming involved with advocacy efforts. Marcus is also a leader in advocacy efforts with our legislators, and because of his work on campus and statewide issues, he has taken the student body at Allen Hancock to the next level. All of this with maintaining over a 3.11 GPA. So congratulations, Marcus King.
Congratulations. That's all right.
I'd just like to add, the way these students are selected is that each vice president of student services throughout the state is able to nominate one student leader at either the local, regional, or statewide level. And then the vice presidents from the south select the southern winner, and the vice presidents from the north select the northern winner. And this is the first time that both winners have been active members of the statewide Student Senate Council. So I'm very proud of these these students.
Thank you. We're now going to return to item 5.2, Student Senate Presentation for Reed Milburn. I think you have arrived in the room. Please come forward. We also have a gavel as a commemorative memory for all your hard work. We really appreciate what you've done. Our students are what we're about, and we know that it's a lot of work to be the president. So we really appreciate all the time and effort, and thank you very much, and good luck in the future.
Well, let me just add my words, Reed. It's been a joy working with you. Reed and I have actually been in the governor's office together, and always when she was called upon to represent the students of community colleges, she's done it with a great deal of skill and ability and stated the case extremely well. We've had her testify in front of legislative committees on issues, and so number one, you've made a great contribution. And number two, I predict an outstanding future for you, Reed. Here's someone who is a veteran, who has come back to the community colleges and has shown exactly how to do it with not only her academic work, but also her work in student government. So thank you so much, Reed, for everything you've done.
Well, thank you. I guess in typical student fashion, I was late this morning, so I do apologize. It's really been a whirlwind year. The students have seen some amazing things. We've partnered with all of you folks in this room and had some really, I think, very serious success this year in trying to protect higher education, the community colleges in particular. There are so many people that I would like to thank. It would probably take the rest of the day, and I know you have a very busy agenda, so I just thank all of you, Chancellor Scott, Dr. Malleymed, all the folks in the Chancellor's office, the Vice Chancellors, all the board members, all of our students, all of our other system partners. It's really been a great year, and I know our new president, Alex Pater, is going to take this and do a fantastic job this year, and I'm really excited for the students. So thank you.
You want to hold the apple in front there? And get that. Or you can hold that in front of you. Okay. Nice.
Thank you. Well, thank you, everybody, for the fun stuff. We are now going to move on to item 6.1, proposed Title V regulation. I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. I did mean to allow you to introduce new staff. Thank you for reminding me.
While I'm introducing new staff, I'll run up to get our mobile microphone there. We have just a few new employees to introduce today. First, I'd like to allow Terry Carbaugh to introduce Robert Ferguson. Here, let me give you.
Hi, Robert, are you here? Hi, I'd like to introduce Robert Ferguson. He's the newest addition to the Communications Division. And we're so thrilled that Robert is here today. We kind of sidetracked him on the Condi Rice event. But Robert is actually here to help develop a new website for the Chancellor's office. So we are thrilled. He comes to us from State Parks, where he recently just issued a mobile application on how to find a park. So we have great ideas for Robert, and we're glad you're here.
It's good to be here.
Thank you.
Erica, you have a new employee?
Hi, let's see, we may have two here today, I'm not sure, but the first, Tracy, are you here? Tracy Britton? Tracy's in the back. She joined the the Facilities and Finance Division, and she'll be working on fiscal accountability and oversight. And is Ray Reinhardt here? No, I guess Ray is not here today.
Okay, we've got one more.
I'm very pleased to introduce Michael Deere. You want to wave, Michael? Who is the newest member of our financial aid staff. We had a staff member retire, and so we're very pleased to have Michael join us. He comes to us from Sac State, where he spent 10 years beginning at the front counter in the financial aid office and working his way up to assistant director. So welcome, Michael. Yesterday was his first day.
More?
Last but not least, I have two new employees, Rita Levy. Would you stand, Rita? Rita comes to us from the Department of Housing and Community Development, and she now works in our Nursing and Allied Healthcare unit. A welcome addition. Thank you very much. And secondly, we have, as the board knows, I reorganized my division some months ago. I think it was even last year, where I created a different unit to handle nursing and allied healthcare issues. That unit has been functioning without leadership since the retirement of Barbara Whitney, longtime employee of the Chancellor's Office. We're very fortunate now to have, as Assistant Vice Chancellor, Stephanie Leach. Stephanie comes to us from the Labor and Workforce Development Agency, where she served as Assistant Secretary, and she was the coordinator of the, and is still the coordinator of the Governor's Nursing Education Initiative and Allied Healthcare Initiative. So thank you, Stephanie. I'm done.
Well, thank you, all the new people. We look forward to working with you. Now I'm going to move on to item 6.1, proposed Title V regulation revisions for facility utilization and space standards.
Top of the morning. Good morning to everyone.
Good morning.
We're back again looking at the Title V regulations. I know that's quite a mouthful. We're bringing this back to you after serious consideration at the last Board of Governors meeting. Took note of all the comments and repackaged the proposal. What is before you is the first reading of 2 readings. The actual action item will happen in September for the board. What is before you is really 3 parts. One is the deletion from Title V, the proposed deletion from Title V. It's in Appendix or Attachment B of the actual detail of the space regulations for space utilization and space standards. And then there's also basically a substitution of a reg at the beginning in terms of for Section 57020. In place of all of the detail for space utilization, there will be the, as there is in Title V for our Budget and Accounting Manual, and I'm sure in other areas too, by reference, the new policy where all the old regs have been taken out and been put into a policy which is Attachment A, and reference to that policy is here now in the new amendment for 57020. And so by reference and by the actual statement of the regulation in Title V, all of the detail still has the standing of regulation, just the detail is out of Title V so that we can update it from last century. And so before you is the consideration. I'm open to any questions, but that's the package, and this is a meritorious effort, and I appreciate your support.
And this is a first reading.
This is a first reading, yes.
Okay, correct.
And everything that is in Title V is word for word in addition to some explanatory paragraphs in the new policy. And this would be a policy of the board.
Okay, Member Baum.
Just how is this implemented? Is it applied to new projects, or do you actually review existing facilities usage by districts? Or?
It's for new projects. And so as I was discussing yesterday, the eligibility criteria, the determiner for competition for state funds for capital outlay is the capacity load ratio. And we talked briefly about what the load was yesterday in terms of the enrollment projections. On the capacity side, determining of the space and whether or not you're meeting the standards, these would be those standards for eligibility for state funds.
That's good. And then, and I appreciate this because it's very helpful to provide these guidelines. To get to Board Member Ramos's point yesterday too, is sustainability ever an issue when it comes to facilities usage?
Yes, it is. The Board of Governors has an adopted policy from about 3 years ago that for, and again, this is for state funding, and again, that's our kind of our nexus where we have the influence. We can provide guidance for local, totally locally funded projects, but it's for the state-funded projects that we've created an incentive process in addition to basically a pattern set of guidelines for districts to either follow and or adopt. If we were to mandate them, then we would need to, then that would create a whole different scenario, but we're providing the guidance and the leadership through the board in that regard. But to me, what is the heart of those particular, that particular set of guidelines and policy is the incentive. And for beginning in the 10-11 fiscal year, for state-funded capital outlay projects that exceed the current Title 24 standards, which are quite high, there's just the recent Title 24 amendments that have gone through. If for a new construction for a growth project, if I could use categories B or E from yesterday's conversation, if you exceed Title 25 by 15%, you would get a 2% bump on your construction appropriation.
Could you tell me again which Title 24 and 25?
I'm sorry for the jargon. Title 24 is the building code and the energy code that is in the building, the code for California. It's the building code is a set of regulations that's adopted by the Building Standards Commission, and it guides, all construction, but there's specific codes for community colleges and for higher education that I'm referencing.
Right. And so that factors in the sustainability issues.
Yeah, yes, and so we link it in through the incentive.
Right. But, and then lastly, these utilization figures for different kind of instructional space. What's the role of faculty and instructional professionals in determining the space needed? The guidelines.
In terms of the guidelines, well, the guidelines have been around since the 60s, right, and they were basically enshrined in the 70s. And
I just wanted to know, for a classroom space usage or things like that, is there are faculty included in the process of determining, this is an adequate space for this type of instructional?
Yes. As part of the development of a project proposal, it is to go through a shared governance process, and really that is maybe to some that sounds like an onerous process, but it's the shortest distance between 2 points, and it's because there's nothing worse to establish the scope of a project and then start talking to the beneficiaries of the project.
I'm just thinking about the policy too, about which state gives specific types of square footage needed for specific types of instructional purposes.
In the next couple of years, we hope to establish a process to update these, and that would be inclusive of faculty, yes.
Okay. I just was asking. Thank you.
And Jane Patton, I believe, is in the audience. This effort, this current initiative to remove the detail of the standards from Title 5 is based on an initiative from the Academic Senate.
Thank you.
Next, we're going to have Member Ramos, Member Thomas, and then Member Perez speaking.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. I'm not sure that my question is actually germane to the issue on the table, so if it's not, you're going to correct me, Assistant Chancellor?
No, I'm going to answer it.
Yeah, well, I think it may be separate and apart but related. But building on my concern yesterday about sustainability issues, I'm wondering if anything in our building policies provide any kind of incentive or prioritization around the attention to minority-owned firms or women-owned firms that would be engaged in any aspect of the planning, construction, or servicing aspects of our capital within the system.
Could I defer that to Mr. Bruckman to talk about? There was recent legislation on this particular subject and the interaction with our policies and regulations. I'd defer to Steve.
Yeah, there are provisions in state law for the local processes to include consideration of small minority-owned businesses. And so that's dealt with at the contracting level, at the local level. And at some point in the near future, we will be presenting Title V regulations to the board, updating that process for the Chancellor's Office role. But for the most part, that's handled locally.
Okay, I would just say, for the record, if there's anything that we can do within our contracting and building processes to incentivize and encourage more development in that direction, I would really appreciate the opportunity to have that conversation and to do whatever we can do within our power to move in that direction.
Okay, thank you.
Member Thomas.
Yes, thank you. On about page 4 of the attachment A, there's a reference to office space with the, in brackets, number 57029. It states that all office space, academic offices, administrative and clerical office, service rooms, and conference rooms shall be computed at 140 assignable square feet for each full-time equivalent instructional staff member. I wonder if you can tell me what the definition of full-time equivalent instructional staff member might be.
I believe that's referencing the unit of FTEF, or full-time equivalent faculty member.
Okay, so if what I was trying to figure out.
No, this is an anachronism. I mean, it's use of terms over since the 70s have evolved.
So if it says equivalent instructional staff member, is that teaching staff only? In other words, would that include, for instance, instructional assistants, instructional associates, those kind of individuals that might be categorized as a part of the instructional silo, if you have a silo like that, or?
I'm not totally familiar of how complete, and how inclusive FTEF is, but it would occur to me that if they were instructionally related, that should be included in the calculation.
Okay, thank you.
Member McDougall.
My understanding of the reason for your proposal today is not to examine the standards per se, but to move the standards out of Title V and into Chancellor's Office regulations.
Yes.
Is that correct?
To move the detail into a policy, so then we can mount the effort to update them to the realities of this century.
So there's greater flexibility that comes to the Chancellor's Office in terms of working with local districts and making adjustments as adjustments are needed.
Yes, sir.
That being the case and the purpose of what we're acting on today, my question is whether we're still not including too much detail in the Title V. In other words, is there a need to specify those specifics in Title V as opposed to regulation that have to do with all of the disciplines that we find on finding attachment A and utilization of standards? In other words, are we doing what we want to do as completely as we want to do it from your perspective?
Yes, and just to be clear, all that you see in attachment A, which was part of the crossed out part of attachment B, is being removed. The only thing that's remaining in Title V is on the first page of attachment B is the underlined section under the number 1 or Title V, section 57020.
Okay, I misread it. I see exactly what you're saying. Proposed new Board of Governors regulations.
Right.
Yes.
We're just having that particular brief reference.
I understand it and fully support that direction.
Thank you. And this was from the guidance I received from our last interaction on the subject at the Board of Governors. So.
Okay, any other comments or questions? Well, thank you very much.
Thank you. If I could just follow up on 2 other things from yesterday's conversation, is that there was a request from Board Member McDougall. Out of the 81 projects that are in the 11-12 plan, 8 projects are 100% state funded, and so that demonstrates that it can and is possible for districts on the basis of the merit of the project for it to rise on a priority basis, and also on the issue relative to do we know whether or not there was a consideration of Member Thomas and others raised regarding the staffing for a building. Part of the final project proposal, which is the document we received from the district for consideration for funding and then development into the governor's budget, the district is required to have it basically discuss how the project relates to the master plan and to the in essence, the staffing requirements of the district. And so while it's not, dollars for staff relative to the project, there is that requirement that the project is tied to the academic planning for the campus.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.